somebody in a big company, there's just so many people, it's hard to have a voice. It's
hard to be significant.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that really grinds at some people. I saw some people become very depressed. Yeah. I've heard some really sad stories about concept artists who ended their lives because it was like they never felt appreciated. And that's the really difficult thing. It's the catch-22 of a high competition world, you know. But that's kind of why I think psychologically at some point you kind of have to go, I'm not competing anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm just not like when you're young and you're fired up and you're like, yeah, I can see a vision for how video games are going to go next. It's like, yeah, get in there, do that, leave that contribution, like do that, be that person that guides things forward and pushes things forward. But like at some point, I think it's, for me anyway, and I can only speak for myself, but like certainly, yeah, if you start to find yourself becoming like bitter or resentful, like I don't want to pass that on, man. So like I'm more excited now that I've made this decision. I'm more enthusiastic about indie game development, about the pride of ownership of the thing that I make. I get to keep every pixel I paint now. Like when you've done this for 20 years and you don't own anything that you've done, yeah, man, like it feels good to just, even if nobody's ever heard of Twilight Monk, to me, like writing those books, when I get a letter from somebody who read that book, it's like that really matters. What matters more than just getting a paycheck. Absolutely.
Well, and again, I think it's I've adopted somewhat of like I've heard it labeled as like optimistic nihilism, where it's like the world is so big that you know, on the grand scheme of things, World of Warcraft doesn't really matter.
No, that's true.
Like in our small ecosystem, like if you worked on these video games, it's huge. You have all these fans and all this stuff, but you know, if you ask the average person in Peru or India or wherever else, that they might not even know what that is,
Right.
And it's like the more you zoom out, it's like on a in 1,000 years it won't matter. It's like and from that perspective, you should really just decide what matters most to you and just live like that's incredibly important.
It's hard though when you're young. You don't have, like, you've obviously had more perspective because you've experienced a lot of traveling. But like, for instance, when I was younger, I worked on World of Warcraft and I went to Japan. They didn't care. But if you go to Korea, South Korea, as a Blizzard developer in like 2010,
it's huge.
They put you on television. Like I was on television with celebrities, like in Korea. So it's so strange that I think world travel is so essential for anyone, especially concept artists, by the way, artists in general, because it exposes you to so many different ways of thinking. And it's like, you can't be angry at a whole nation of people who think differently than you. You can't be angry about the way the world just freaking is.
Well, and it's, I think if you grow up and you're in this, like working on World of Warcraft and then having it be seen by 30 million, a billion people or whatever. I mean, it's the same thing as like, somebody in their room, just like the process of you making your graphic novel is the same process as you working on a big video game. It's just you at a Cintiq coming up with ideas and making illustrations.
I mean, it's much more collaborative. Working in games is a highly collaborative kind of an environment, and I really like working with a well-oiled machine of like a team of pros. And that's a very different story when you're going indie and doing it all yourself. So in that way, very different. But in terms of like psychologically, there is a kind of like a damage that can happen from doing concept art in the wrong kind of environment. I don't want to say wrong kind of environment, in a highly competitive environment. And what happens is you start to see so much of your work get thrown out. I'm sure this is a recurring theme that's happened on your show. Fucks with your head, because then you start to go, nothing I do is ever going to be good enough. And not just not good enough, but like not good enough for me to even release. And you start to like really doubt whether you could draw that comic.
Absolutely.
Is it ever going to be good enough? Or maybe I should reiterate it, keep doing it. Like, because concept art is about iteration. So I'm going to throw out all this 6 months worth of work. Well, that's what they would do at Riot. And if that's what people expect from me, so like, I guess I better just cancel it or whatever. And I'm finally coming to like feeling like I can be a whole person, warts and all, completely flawed, and just go, dude, like this is my mistakes, this is my failures, this is just, it's just, and I'm not trying to make something on the budget of a $50 million game. I'm literally just doing what I can do as one person, solo developer, and I'm loving every day of it.
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed that a lot. I've talked to a lot of people at Riot who experience the same thing. It's like everyone is so modest, but they're also rock stars. They're also such brilliant artists. And again, when everyone else around you is saying that they're garbage and they're as good as you or better, it's like it does diminish your self-worth and I guess the value, your personal value of who you are. You know,
well, artists always attach way too much of their personal value to their art, and some of that is just because we have to delve deep into like who we are to pull up the best of us for our art, you know. But at some point after 20 years, I can tell you, man, it doesn't even feel like it's you anymore.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't. And I've been very blessed to. I started an art house about 8 years ago, and it's the only way I survived the last 8 years in concept art, because I like to call myself a recovering concept artist now, because like without my team, without a group of people to handle some of those tasks, it's like, man, redesigning an icon or a crest or something for 3 months straight, you start to feel like you're losing your mind if you don't have somebody to like pass it back and forth to. So I've worked with some really great artists and in my time and hopefully left a good enough impression. Most of them tell me they want to come back and work for me, but I'm like, I'm not. No more contracts. I can't even have that distraction right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's you know, for a long time. Sorry, it does get loud because we're on the street right now, but. I guess part of it is I've been trying to see communication in general as just the idea that you're trying to communicate on a macro level as the goal versus how you do it particularly. You know, it's like doing a piece of concept art is just trying to communicate a very specific idea in a specific way, whereas doing a YouTube video or playing a piece of music or dancing or something is still trying to communicate ideas. And no form of communication is higher or lower than others. You know. And for me, it's like I wanted to be a concept artist for a long time, and then I was like, oh man, this isn't for me, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to actually do that with a studio?
I was interning in Cambridge.
Okay.
You
mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun. It was cool, but it just I didn't, it's just not who I am. People that are that. More power to them, but
right. I definitely was that.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And here's the thing, I love game development.
Yeah.
I love it to pieces. Like seeing the final result. You do a concept for an environment, you're working with a modeler, they put it together, it goes in game.
Yeah.
There's like very few feelings like that awesome. And watching reviewers play it and they're having a good time. Like, and then the designers really coming through, like the whole thing, like when it works, particularly with small development teams, it's like really rewarding. It's the best. I love game development. In fact, like I went back to doing comics for a while, or just for like these 2 Creed issues. I used to do an indie comic called Creed, and I had a successful Indiegogo campaign last year. I don't know if you know about that. But
I'm pretty sure we talked about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And but the thing is like I love game development. I'll never give it up. But it kind of has to shift for me. Like it has to be a little bit more about a sense of ownership and connection to players.
Yeah.
I think that might be a thing that's missing if you're just in the trenches with a bunch of other concept artists pitching ideas, and they're getting tossed out the window for maybe a better idea, and then you feel resentment towards other artists, but you got to be nice and this is competition, frenemies, kind of a thing going on, and that can burn a person out from maybe even wanting to do it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I feel like games are becoming so competitive now to where, like you're either doing a passion project or you're working on a big company. It's like making something that's like the tools have become so accessible that you have to do something brilliant in order to get any attention, or do something crazy, or it just on Steam there's just so much volume that it can be very intimidating. I'd imagine.
There's a lot of noise.
Yeah, tons of noise.
I think I don't have an answer for that. I mean, that's something that I released one indie game already.
Yeah.
It was just like a side project. I learned it. It was like learning to program, kind of a Meat Boy clone.
Right.
It's called Aikida, and that's on Steam. It's like a free-to-play game, just to see how it works. Like, how does it work? And lost in the sea, But I learned a lot. And I think that that's the thing that's shifted, is that I'm no longer looking at like success, I don't want to make it.
Yeah.
Like that's a weird concept to me. Like people go, oh, Flappy Bird was huge, so
Right.
maybe if I make mobile games I could get a big success like Flappy Bird. It's, no, or you could just, like, if you like mobile games and you want to make mobile games because every day you get excited to wake up and make mobile games, like maybe that's a better reason.
Yeah.
It's kind of like putting the cart before the horse.
Absolutely.
Like, so to me, it's about finding the thing that allows you to be your most honest, passionate self. Every
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, and not compromising. You know, it's like something like
That's
Flappy.
hard.
Well, it's easy to look at something like, oh, I can make Flappy Bird, you know, but it's like that guy already made Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
You know, it's already there. It's like it's not that great of a game, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not innovative, you know.
But some people do it just to learn. Like
Yeah.
I said, I made a Meat Boy clone
Yeah.
just to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the way to go about it. Is you're not like you're not pursuing the treasure or the
It didn't matter
the
that
fortune, right?
Yeah, it didn't matter that it didn't sell. I tried I thought like, oh, we're kind of living in the era of Patreon.
Yeah.
Like people will just support things that they really like, right?
Yeah.
But so I made a optional DLC, like it's just
Yeah.
a premium badge, like a
Right.
backer badge,
Yeah.
and like hardly anybody bought it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like the game has 20,000 downloads, but
Right.
like it's made $200 on
Yeah,
Steam.
right.
It's
Yeah.
like damn.
Dang it.
So
okay.
I'm not doing free to play anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be doing that. But the learning process, I wouldn't have known that, and it's really good that I did.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even though that game just took 3 or 4 months to make.
Right.
You know, so it's worth it to live passionately, and sometimes you have to sacrifice, like, you know, living in a bigger house, or maybe you got to live in a van.
Yeah, it's 20 square feet. Yeah.
But you get the benefit. You look at all the benefits you traded.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think it's eventually enough of the things that you do compound, and that success that you're chasing, it just appears one day. You know.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not the point, but like it might just appear out of nowhere. You know.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, like, the thing that a lot of those people that are chasing the Flappy Bird success,
Yeah.
the thing that they're actually chasing is something that you get for free.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
They're thinking they'll get it once they get there.
Right. Right.
But instead, what happens is you become scared to lose it,
Yeah.
or you become obsessed with it, and then you become focused on money, or
Absolutely.
you become focused on something other than the joy of being present, or being alive,
Yeah.
or having life experiences, or meeting new people, or doing podcasts, or just like
Yeah.
chatting, taking the time
Yeah.
to be present with people, which is ultimately more rewarding and fulfilling than most of those accomplishments and achievements.
Yeah. Well, and the great irony of all this stuff is that it's right in front of you at all times. You
Yeah,
know?
right.
It's like it doesn't take that much effort to do
Right.
anything. And part of the benefit of living this way is I'm not afraid of anything, really. Like,
Right.
if I get fired from my job, I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
spend any money, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I get less Chick-fil-A, you know? That's,
Sure.
that's the consequence, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not that huge of a deal. You know?
But there are barriers in their
Yeah.
mental. It's all in that person's mind.
Yeah,
like those
absolutely.
barriers, and that's a hard thing for some people to face, and it can make people angry to hear that too. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed something happened a few years ago. Like every time I would take a vacation, I'd just come back and I'd feel so free.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Absolutely.
You have that all the time
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but like when I would take a vacation from like my job and I would go overseas or just go to an island somewhere or even just go get out of town to the countryside.
Yeah.
Spending a couple of weeks, like the third week, you start to feel like that's just your life now.
Yeah.
And there's this feeling when you come back of like, I want to chat with everybody and I
Yeah.
just want to hear their stories.
Optimism, right?
Sort of like, yeah, and it's a weird thing because we get so locked into our repetitive like survival mode of safety,
Yeah.
like where we're just going to our job, we're doing what's expected of us. Sometimes it's comforting to just have somebody tell you what to do
Yeah.
and get paid for. Know that you're going to cover your bills. You can buy that new TV, get that new PlayStation, whatever. Like all those things will be covered as long as somebody just gives me something to do in exchange for money. And
Yeah.
and that is a barrier
Yeah.
because how do you like go? No, I'm okay. I don't need that. I'm
Yeah.
going to take my big risk,
Right.
like live in a van or travel
Yeah,
to
yeah,
another
right.
country for a while.
Well, and I think it takes a lot of like the way that I've been told to go about it is just to like write down as much as you possibly can. Like write down what your perfect day is and try to make that happen. You
Hmm.
know, it's like when I look at I used to own a lot of art books, and I used to own just a lot of stuff, like a couch. And
You still own it though.
well, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess. Well, I'm living in a condo now, like
Are you?
right this second for the past few months.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I guess I have stuff right
Okay,
now,
gotcha.
but it stresses me out, you know.
Oh, interesting.
But I guess it's like, you know, when I look at that stuff in my room that stresses me out, it's like I don't use it 95% of the time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
95% of the time I'm out, you know, doing some adventure, or I'm at work, or I'm like exercising, or you know.
Does it give you anxiety to look at it? Like,
It does actually. Yeah, it's like, oh man, if I wanted to move somewhere, I would have to worry about putting this in a box, and
the things you own end up
Yeah, yeah.
owning you, Tyler
yeah,
Durden.
absolutely, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and I recently went through this
Yeah.
where so during the lockdowns, I got obsessed with collecting old retro games like PS2, PS1, and 64. So like I got this big like shelf, and I was so proud of this collection. It's like, oh man, it's like a game store in my work office, you know. But recently, I just came to this conclusion. I realized I don't even play these. There's too many new ones coming out,
Yeah.
and even those I don't really have time. Like I can't drop Horizon to play Elden Ring or whatever.
yeah.
It's
Too
like
many fucking games.
there's too many, and like yeah. So there's this psychological thing that happens when I look at that shelf that makes me go, yo, that's just a to-do list, and on top of all the things I want to achieve, am I actually excited to wake up and play some old PS2 game? Nah, not really. So yeah, in that way, what I ended up doing was I literally stripped it down to like my favorite 5.
Yeah.
Those are on a shelf, and I got them like they actually bring me joy to look at them.
Yeah,
So you have the memories.
Absolutely.
You have a small selection. You know,
Right.
this is your room or your space here, and you know. But my point is like you've got those special things that are like they're great memories.
Absolutely.
They're memorabilia from an experience, or they're just something that really reminds you of what you're passionate about in life. And those are the things you hold on to. You let other things go. I didn't throw it away. I didn't sell it. I put it all into storage so that I can have like a holiday down the road where I just go, oh, I remember this old game. Maybe I'll play old PS2 Ratchet and Clank or something. You know?
Well, and I think it's important to acknowledge what's actually meaningful to you. You know,
Right.
It's like I mean, I spent 6 months driving from California to New York and back, and I saw that there's just so much formless potential in the world in general. It's like if I wanted to, I could just go move to Salt Lake City and hang out with all my friends there, or move up to Montana and become like a hiking guide, or go to South Dakota and go hunting, and or be in Brooklyn. You know, it's like I can do all these. I could go to Germany, or I could go to Croatia, or I can go anywhere, and I want to do all those things. And I realized like, oh man, there's only like I can only choose one thing. You know, I can only choose one place to live.
For now.
Well, for now, but I guess like going back to the finite amount of time thing, it's like there's a wealth of opportunity, but not really, because you have to like you have to choose between playing video games and watching a movie. You know, or you have to choose between playing video games and watching a movie and like going exercising or reading a book or getting really into archery, or like inevitably you're gonna have to make sacrifices based on just who you are and what you value, because you don't have infinite time to decide to be everything essentially.
And you don't know when you might fall in love or have a relationship or have a kid as well. And those things, that is certainly something I didn't think about much in my early 20s. But I did feel that kind of like burn to like get to where I wanted to go.
Absolutely.
To like live my fullest life, even though I ended up just locking myself into a job where I did what you said. Like the most I aspired to was get a big TV and the new gaming system or whatever, because that was convenient. It was something I could actually experience. I couldn't just like up and live in Tokyo. I mean, our old friend Kevin and I used to talk about like moving to Tokyo and starting up a hookah bar. You know,
that's
like,
so awesome.
That would have been cool. Like, sometimes I think I might just get out of art altogether, and I know that sounds nuts, but I think I'll always want to do something creative. I'll always want to create
music,
things.
or something.
I don't know. Like, I love to create. I love the expression of it. But it's there's certainly, I feel like you said, there's more. There's so much more in the world, so much untapped potential, and especially lately. Liberating myself from obligations sometimes can allow for that.
Absolutely. I think a big part for me has been like being okay with who I end up being, because like me living in a van, there are sacrifices to me doing this. It's like I'm not at a big company, I'm not in college, I'm not like pursuing a serious relationship or anything. You know,
You're not building momentum in a direction that is quantifiable, or like it's not like you can put this on your resume.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I can point people to my podcast.
Sure, yeah.
But that's about it. And it's like, okay, there's something there that's like, I'm getting a lot of value out of it, but there is a sacrifice there. And I have to be okay never being an art director at a big company, or never, having that status that I honestly, I think I want to a degree. I think about it.
Who doesn't?
And not judging myself, or not letting other people's opinions of me affect the decisions, my day-to-day decisions.
Well, you're on the internet, so you're going to experience a lot of that.
I've already had a few people comment. What?
No kidding.
Yeah.
How are you handling that as a new YouTuber? Like, I mean, I say new, but you've been doing this for like a year or so, right?
Yeah, 6-7 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of a new experience for you. I've been doing this for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So like, I've become a little bit more numb to it.
Right.
But I'm wondering, like, does it still affect you?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm doing this thing, and it's so embryonic. It's like it changes day to day. It's like, I mean, I'm obviously in a new location every time I'm talking to a new guest, and as a result, it's like it feels like the momentum on this thing might just evaporate with like if somebody made a horrible comment that was accurate and I trusted them, it might destroy my desire to keep doing it.
Really?
I don't know if it actually would, but it would definitely like discourage me.
I would think that if you got that kind of hate, then you're probably doing something right.
I think so too. But
that's actually true.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just recently had an experience with this where my first tweet that ever went viral.
Yeah. Oh,
I
nice.
did a paint over. Yeah.
Congrats.
Oh, thanks. It means nothing. Let me tell you what happened. So I made a paint over, makeover of Pokemon Legends, because the game kind of doesn't look as good as some of the other previous Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I did a paint over of it, exactly how I would do concept art. And I did a side-by-side comparison. I posted that on my Twitter, like 45,000 likes on it, like tons of retweets, and like the first 25,000 of them are like, oh, this is so great, oh, please do more, this is wonderful, oh, you're a great artist, blah blah blah. And then once it reaches this tipping point, then people go, oh, this is popular, it sucks.
Yeah.
There are better artists than you out there. And I'm like reading the comments, and I'm like, they don't even know what I do, who I am. To them, this is just their thoughts, their insecurities or whatever. But sometimes once you've either tapped in close to the truth, you're going to piss people off. And we've seen that with some recent popular podcasts, just through exploring, just conversations, and also once you're onto something that other people can't easily acquire, they get angry at you for sort of leaving them, or because to some extent it kind of proves that they could do something as well if they dreamed of doing a podcast and you're a popular podcaster. Well, what's so special about you? I got interesting things to say, interesting friends, blah blah blah. And so before you know it, it's a reflection of their own feeling that like I could have done more.
Yeah, and like why me? It's like why might I get the attention versus them? And it's like
you might feel that.
No. Well,
they might.
They might feel that.
Sure.
And it's like and again, it goes back to the formless potential thing. It's all just about going and doing it. It's like the reason somebody might not have been successful is just they didn't give it a good enough attempt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's that they want things to be different than they are.
Yeah.
Like, even if you had the keys to the door, but you're like, nah, this isn't a key. I was told that this isn't a key. I'm telling you, if you tell me this is a key again, I'm going to smack you. And it's like, no, but it's a key. And right there's the door. It's like, get out of my face with the key. Like, but it's right there. Like this is right there, and they're going to just get angry at the person telling them that it is literally a key to that door. Because they can't believe it. They've tried it, it didn't work, and for some reason it didn't work for them, so they can't believe it, so they get angry, because it couldn't just be that sometimes there's luck meeting with preparedness.
Absolutely. Well, and I think maybe like me, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like if I wanted to start a podcast, it would have been easier to just like do it over Zoom calls.
Yeah, probably, but
and not live in a van, and but I don't know. I think
it's less interesting.
Less interesting, right? It's not something I would personally be excited about doing.
Yeah, but you know, you need like a disco ball here, or like different props or something. Yeah.
Well, I normally have a fire that I light. I just ran out of fuel.
Oh, really? Well, today we got some nice sun.
Yeah.
We're kind of backlit though. I wonder if We're gonna get decent footage.
Every single one is backlit. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
You need maybe some like lights coming this way to really enhance the.
I think I'm gonna upgrade my van.
Whoa!
I think I'm gonna buy one I can stand up in. So this is a temporary van situation.
Is it still sketchy then?
It's gonna be less sketchy. It's not gonna be like a rape van.
Okay,
It's gonna
sure.
be like a like a Grand Pro Master.
I guess you could stuff
van.
like a blow up doll in the corner to keep it sketchy.
Keep it weird. Yeah. Dude, I was dropped off a friend last night, and her neighbor in the morning fucking woke me up. I was like, dude, I'm gonna call the police. You better fucking leave. You know.
Oh, because of the van?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
I was just sleeping.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was sleeping on the street. And,
Yeah. Where were you? What city?
Oceanside. So kind of near Camp Pendleton and stuff. So
Okay.
He kind of looked like a Marine. So I totally understand.
I got you.
But yeah. It's still got the sketchy.
Yeah, you still got it.
Still got it, man.
Going back real quick, the thing that I was going to say is like at some point about the negative comments, for instance, at some point you just like Joe Rogan was talking about this. He's like, I don't read the comments anymore. My only interactions with people are face to face. And the funny thing is like, and I'm trying this out recently too, where it's hard because like, you know, I want to answer questions in my comments, etc. So I have my wife actually like dig up questions, or you know, I just kind of try to go with my gut. But my point being, if you're interfacing only with people directly, you never have to hear their inner thoughts about how they hate you, or they don't like your opinion about this thing, so now they can't stand your art because they don't like your opinion about the thing, or whatever it is, whatever criticism they might feel. Nobody walks up to you and expresses that in person. They wouldn't. There's a decorum that happens in real life that is gone with the internet, and people feel like they can just express whatever. Sometimes it's just to get attention or out of you too.
Well, and they might not even. I mean, I heard Rogan talk about this too. They don't even think that the person that they're commenting to is going to read it. You know?
Right. Or that it's a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've read some really awful stuff. Yeah. People could be really cold, but. Like I said, it was in every one of those cases. It was on a video that had over 100,000 views. Yeah, it's like, well,
good.
You know the real reason why.
Yeah.
The real reason is usually because they never had a video that did that well. But what they don't realize is it's not like it pays a big pile of money. It's not like it's enviable. You know what my viral Pokemon image that I told you about on Twitter? You know what that did for me? Jack shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I got more subscribers, more followers, or more people that were like, oh, well, you know, I'm gonna follow you, or there was none of that, and I didn't increase sales or anything like that either. Yeah, so
you got some temporary internet points, you know.
Yeah, basically.
You get to talk about it, you know, in a podcast, you know.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's not to say, hey, it's not worth doing entertaining content. It absolutely is, you know. But don't do it for the likes and the views and the approval of other people. Yeah.
Well, a question I have, you know, I repeat this all the time, but a question I ask everybody is, would you be doing the same exact thing that you're doing right now if you had $1 billion? You know, and for me, it's like I would definitely be doing this podcast if I had $1 billion.
Really?
Yeah, well,
sketchy van.
Yeah. Well, I'd have a nicer van, you know. I could fit my.
Maybe the sketchy yacht.
Yeah, the sketchy.
Podcast.
Yeah, the sketchy. Yeah. Oh, the pirate ship podcast or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Doing like a sailboat or something.
The sketchy Spanish galleon podcast.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hey, you know that would get a lot of views.
But I would still like travel the world, and I would still like try to talk to as many people as I could, you know, the same way, and try to find what truth is. But like, I think those people that are complaining about someone else's success, they're like doing things that they wouldn't do if they if they didn't have to worry about resources, you know.
Sometimes that's just life, like a compounding of decisions that led them to a place where they can't see a way out. Yeah. And I don't like, that's the thing, is that when I see a comment like that, I actually don't get angry. The way I see it, I'm not saying it doesn't affect me. Do you need to adjust the microphone?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to make sure that this is...
Oh man, did it not record all this good stuff?
Oh, no, it's gone. So this cable's kind of fucked up. So at the very least, we have the iPad audio, which is pretty good.
Backup.
Yeah. Right. Okay, yeah. So I just fucked it up, but I have another cable here. I did a thing where every time I lifted this up, it would bend this slightly. So it's completely degraded the. Sorry to interrupt your thought.
No, not at all. It's it adds to the suspense.
Yeah.
You guys have some really important stuff to say. It's really good.
Oh man,
really good shit.
Yeah, you're gonna disclose the meaning of life.
No. Yeah, that's what podcasts are for.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Again.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
No,
it's that. In fact, I empathize and I understand because I've been in that position where like I wanted to say something nasty on somebody's, like I caught somebody in like a being, totally hypocritical. It's like, oh, I got you, you fucker.
Well, dude, I think everyone is there at some point. Mark Rabucci was telling me about his experience. He's like a 20-year-old guy, and like he's a big fan of hockey, I think, and his team lost, and he personally found the email of a hockey player on the other team and said like a bunch of horrible shit to him.
Yeah.
And then obviously the hockey player was like, "You fucking piece of shit." And he said it's like, "Oh man, like why'd I do that? Like I was just so angry, I was so insecure,
Yeah.
Everyone's there at some point,
Yeah. And I think there is a difference between like good criticism and just vitriol.
Yeah.
But anyway, you are you tired of talking about your trip? Your last
No,
trip?
I love
Peru?
talking
Was
about
it Peru?
Oh yeah, I was in Peru. Yeah, Peru a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an entirely different culture, It's like they're making $300 a month or something,
Right.
It's like around here, $300 a month is, like way less than minimum wage, you know.
Way less.
And being around them is surreal because they're all creative, intelligent, smart people. They all live meaningful lives. It seems like they have great families and stuff, and it's not as nice, but they get by, and they're happy and stuff. And honestly, like a lot happier than a lot of the people that I know that make.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Money doesn't actually make you happier.
No, it doesn't.
Purpose does.
Yeah.
Purpose.
And I guess I don't know if traveling has made me happier, but it's allowed me to see more purpose in my life.
Right.
It's like I'm pretty naive. I think I'm pretty like I can be like overly optimistic, and going into a place and just I didn't even realize the wealth difference when I was there. It's like $100 to me is nothing compared to them. It's like $100 to them is maybe a life-saving amount of money to some scenarios.
You just run out of battery?
Yeah, that camera just died, but we're good. Oh.
We've been talking for 2 hours.
No,
Is that what that means?
I can charge it later.
I think I have the same camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lumix. Yeah.
GG85.
Mm-hmm.
But it's traveling for me is just it's been like a it's more highlighted my own flaws as a human being more so than anything. It's like I was in Peru, and and same thing when I would be in like the Grand Canyon or something on my road trip or anywhere else. I'd be in like the best places, around the best things, and most beautiful things, and I would choose to like be lazy. I would choose to not make the most of it. And
is that just out of like overstimulation?
Overstimulation, laziness, fear. It's like a like an inability to see what's around me. Like just like lack of vision or lack of creativity. It's like it is true that I think that that there's probably people around us right now within a mile that we could probably get along with very well. And it's just but I'm not going to go and seek those people out because I just don't want to. I want to
I see.
It's risky, right? It's like I don't want to walk up to strangers. I don't want to, embarrass myself. I don't want to waste my time, and all of those things compound into just me not realizing the full potential of who I am and like what my life could be.
It might help then to have, just as a thought, more of a specific goals in mind.
Yeah.
What you want to get out of it. It doesn't have to be what everybody else gets out of it.
Yeah.
But
right.
If there is that, like I guess turn it into a bit of a scavenger hunt. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that me doing this podcast made
It's a purpose, a reason to be.
Yeah. It made the entire road trip at least a lot more contextual. And I was taking a lot of photographs in Peru, which was really fun. But I found that like without a goal, without like a purpose to your travel or your adventures, like an overarching purpose, and there's no journey. It's like you're just like transporting from place to place, but your brain isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like you can go to Rome and get Starbucks and a cheeseburger,
Sure.
and then sit in your hotel room and play video games.
Yeah.
You can like geographically move thousands of miles, but your mindset will still be, the person you were when you were at home.
Could be.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like I said, I mean, if there's a kind of a purpose that you're trying to get out of it, even with conversation, like getting to the heart of, well, for one, doing a podcast I think is an excellent challenge because it occupies your mind. One, two, it allows you to size up various different types of personalities, and I'm sure that you've had some conversations where you're like trying to get to a certain topic or get to what is interesting about this particular guest.
Absolutely.
People are puzzles and they're fascinating, and it's infinite.
Yeah.
And so like that's fun. That's what I would be imagining you'd be doing.
Yeah.
But like you said, within a couple of blocks, there's probably 100 people that we could sit and talk to.
Right.
But how many of them are going to be artists, or how many of them are going to think creatively, or how many of them are going to be like, maybe you just want to know about a history of the location,
right?
And like that could be the puzzle that you're trying to solve, so to speak. So you're looking for a certain type of a person to unlock, so to speak. But then I know what you mean. Certainly over redundancy, like if things become redundant or repetitive, it starts to feel a little bit like, well, this is the same as what I was doing before, even though to somebody else it would be totally exciting and new. Yeah. First slice of pizza is always the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I made this sign. I didn't put it up. I just didn't ask. But can I put this up just for anyone else that walks by? So
I don't know that anybody will.
Well, somebody
We're in the parking lot over by the
Veggie Grill and the Cox store.
Got to promote those places.
The corporations. Sponsors. Right?
Yeah, they need. This episode's sponsored by Cox.
Yeah, and Veggie Grill. But I was doing one with Cynics and Ahmed Eldori.
Yeah, sure.
And
I saw that.
Yeah.
Somebody walked by.
Yeah, and these people came by, and they had hitchhiked all around Africa.
Oh, no kidding.
And
wait, did you stop to actually invite them into the van?
They walked up to us. They just like, hey, what's up? How's it going? And I told them, hey, you should come over and talk to us.
Okay.
And stayed around for about 20 minutes telling me about their landing in a biplane at the middle of the night in the middle of the Sahara Desert or something.
I haven't gotten to that part of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, well, it's like, oh man, people are just so fucking interesting. Like these random people didn't even plan it, are just fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I think that those kind of stories and opportunities for connection, they're always out there, and it's just, it's my ability to see that as something worth pursuing.
What about art? I mean, like, for instance, you have the total freedom. When I went to Phuket, I spent 3 weeks in Phuket. Yeah. Incredible. I was in this little town, and they had like all these like statues of like these serpent dragons. Yeah. And I came back and I had like a sketchbook full of all these little doodles of like serpent dragons. Like, being exposed to new, historical architecture or themes like that, it seems like that's an interesting enough reason to visit some of these places, if only to fill a sketchbook.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and again, I think it's just a matter of like, it's like going out and doing it. Like art recently has just not been as inspiring to me for whatever reason. Like I didn't draw at all in Peru.
Really?
I just didn't feel like it.
Huh.
I did a little bit. I did some sketches of our guides, but other than that, I didn't really do anything else. And
is it just a phase? Did you kind of burned out on it?
Yeah, just kind of burnt out. It's like, I like working for Proco. I'm like, I feel like I have some internal pressure to be a lot better than I am, And because of that pressure, it's like, oh man, I'm going to be disappointed in what I do no matter what, which is completely an internal thing. But, I think it's just a matter of like getting back into art and like a little bit more of like a low pressure. I started a sketch group in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So just on Meetup or something.
I'm guessing that's where your place is that you got.
Yeah.
It's close to work. And,
yeah. It's like 10 minutes away or something. But Yeah, no, it's been nice. It's like, you know, very like professionals don't show up or anything. It's more of just like students and hobbyists that we're all just sitting around and drawing together for fun, you know. And that's been really liberating for me. It's like something that's just like the spirit of it is just to socialize, essentially, you know.
Yeah.
And then like build connections with people. You know?
Yeah, that's the best reason to do anything.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be about just bringing celebrity.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, although it is nice to, you know, meet people that you look up to and get a little insight. But I guess that's why we have things like podcasts now, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's really probably very rewarding, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure you get ideas for like new places to visit too from.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think San Diego has an incredible wealth of just things to do, and like having a context to go. It's like we'll do the sketch group at Balboa Park, and then Liberty Station, and then all these other places. And I was like, I go to a place I never would have been to otherwise. Yeah. And I'm actually seeing, you know, my home essentially as a completely different place. You know.
Yeah.
It's like it becomes a more interesting, you know, thing to do.
Yeah.
Like
when you say your home, you mean like your hometown, or?
Yeah. Like I guess Southern California is my home.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd relate to this, but I think I have this impulse to see the place I was born and spent a lot of my youth in as like not that interesting, you know. It's like, you know, like I'll just go to In-N-Out, or I'll just like, you know, play video games, or you know, like I won't do things that aren't necessarily that adventurous.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's surfing, there's all these amazing, you know, incredible things to do in Southern California.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like it too. Yeah, that's why I stayed here. I'm not from California.
Yeah. Sorry,
so
keep checking.
Yeah, I'm a transplant too. So like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I moved here when I was like 21 years old. I lived in Hollywood for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, just moving from, you know, the Midwest. Like, just first of all, the weather.
Yeah.
Don't want to deal with the snow. That's I don't know how people do it. Yeah. It's beautiful, like looking at pictures.
Yeah.
But hey, we got snow out here. If you go up to the mountains, but it's mostly. I think it's the weather is a big part of it. Yeah, having stuff to do, such as like go out to the ocean. But if you're working all the time, it doesn't matter. And like I said, I mean, for the last 20 years, I've just been a workaholic. So. It's kind of like, for the first time in a long time, I feel like I get to enjoy it a little bit more. So it's kind of a new lease on life to just have experiences. That's just it's not gonna stay up. Yeah. But I think there are still, I mean, it is tricky because when I travel, a lot of times I do feel that too, where it's like, I just kind of want to get home to California. I love it. I also have a lot of problems with California. Now, I don't live in like Los Angeles where there's a lot of the problems that they have. We just don't have that here where we live. Yeah. So I kind of feel spoiled, you know, in that way, quite honestly. And I feel spoiled that I got here at such a young age when I could afford it. Yeah. Right. And having the jobs that I had was like huge. Yeah, it was integral for like. Buying real estate is probably like the best thing you could possibly do. In California, especially, even if it's like inland, you know, just like I was out in Temecula just last weekend, and man, it's beautiful. Yeah. Just like hills, it's like kind of a desert, but kind of not. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Suburban a little bit, but like very upscale, very nice, and like. And I was thinking, man, like, you know, if I was a younger guy, I'd just move to a cheaper town outside of the city, buy a home, and just build like some roots in there so that even if you're traveling, just as time goes on, inflation will just kick your ass. Inflation is the worst tax in our entire American history, and I just keep doing it right now. But, you know, once you build some roots and over time everything gets cheaper and more stable. And I was just listening to Lucid Pixel talk about that. He was saying he's in his mid-40s, like, for the first time in my life, I feel stable. Yeah, right. Yeah, I guarantee you he owns property. Yeah. Absolutely. Because at some point, it's just stability.
Well, and I think that's part of the, you know, one of the dangers of, I guess, working in the arts industry or just aspiring for any job particularly is that you know, building wealth is a lot more about owning assets versus, you know, being paid a ton of money, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Yeah, like you could be paid $500,000 to $600,000 a year and still be living paycheck to paycheck.
And miserable too.
Yeah, and it's
I've known people like that.
I guess the purpose of this is not money at all. It's stability. It's all just like, feeling okay with who you are and feeling okay, like, knowing that you're going to be able to make ends meet and feed your family and feed yourself and like not be kicked out of your house.
Right. I've done a number of videos about how a frugal lifestyle is the path to creative freedom, and how for a lot of people it's like, man, I've read, there's this book called The Simple Path to Wealth. I think I mentioned it to you. But it's kind of like it ties into this minimalist kind of a lifestyle. There's a lot of things that we end up working a job to buy, stuff we don't need. Tyler Durden had a lot of wisdom.
Absolutely,
and Martha Stewart. No, no, but like, there's certainly a kind of like less actually does allow you a lot more freedom, having less responsibilities, having less bills, having less of those things. So like then it allows you to do what you want.
Right.
So like I remember another artist was saying like, why would an artist ever want to retire? It's like, well, I get like not wanting to like stop.
Yeah.
But to finally own what you do, to finally like, I think also who else? Koro. You know Koro? From Massive Black. He was one of the owners of Massive Black, and he bought a barn out in Washington. And right as he was retired, it was like when I first met him, and he's like, I just paint whatever I want. I don't even know if he releases it. Honestly, I haven't really followed him, but like his whole thing was just to be able to. He had spent like 10 or 15 years just designing characters for Watch Dogs and like all these Ubisoft games, and all this. They would do these big, huge contracts. They had like Jason Chen used to work for them. Like I'm sure most people still know who he is. And but my point is that retirement for me was always just the desire to have the total creative freedom, which is really, in a lot of ways, what a lot of people aspire to when they just say, well, I just want to do art for a career. They feel like that would be freedom.
Absolutely.
But it's still a job. Once you get there, you realize, well, it's nice to do art for a living. Like, I want to do what I want to do. And that's not everybody either, by the way. I've met a lot of artists who are just like, hey, give me a task. I don't need to do my own ideas. Just give me a task in front of me. I've worked with some of the artists like that, and I love working with them. Because it's like, oh, they'll just do 50 iterations of a character, and they're happy to do that. They love it. So I wouldn't want to project onto other people what I want out of my life, or retirement or creative freedom.
Right.
But I grew up inspired by guys like Todd McFarlane and the old comic book guys that were just like
financially independent.
We're going to go on our own. And they didn't really take much of a risk, though.
Right.
Because they could have just gone back to Marvel. Or I guess they could still go back to.
But I guess it's like a, it would suck though, right?
No. I mean, it's not that it's horrible. It's just like you said, finite amount of time.
Yeah. You're gonna get everything you want out of life. Right.
Well, I'm gonna try.
Well, I think for Todd, making the Spawn movies, that's huge for him. Like he's
been wanting to do that for. Well, he did it before once.
But I guess he wants to to really do it. Like make it a huge thing. It always goes back to the meaning stuff. And, like, I think that there's so many things that we could potentially care about, and the fact that we care about anything specifically is probably really meaningful. It's like no matter what you do, you're probably going to draw at least a little bit in your life. Like even if you had the choice not to, financially, you die, you probably sketch a little bit here and there. Right?
No, of course. I don't want to misrepresent myself. I do enjoy creating. Like I've been working on the Twilight Monk art book, and that's just been a blast. A lot of the art from that is going into the game.
Right.
So, like I mean, being able to visually make something that looks as good as or better than any NES or SNES or PlayStation game that I ever played. Like, I know that's a bold statement, but I'm saying like being able to visually recreate that that's pretty damn awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and for me, Rogan is actually a big inspiration for the podcast.
Yeah.
Just like long format conversations with people. You know, it's like unedited, just going for it.
You need to get Alex Jones on here.
Yeah, I would get Alex Jones on here.
Would you?
I totally would. I want to get.
I don't know if he'd fit actually, because
No, he's pretty big.
Squeezed in here.
Yeah. Well, when I get a nicer van, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he would.
Do you want to be on the podcast with Alex Jones?
Yeah, sure. That would be fun.
Cool.
He seems like a really funny guy.
Yeah. Well, if somebody knows
It's
Alex,
entertaining.
to tell him to reach out to me, and we could. I'll drive over to his house.
Have you been out to Austin much?
Yeah. I drove through there on my way back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it there.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of my friends moved out there that like left Riot,
Yeah.
bought a little house back when it was cheap.
Yeah.
They blew up. Austin blew up in the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's huge.
Really expensive now.
Yeah.
I mean, good for them. They bought
Yeah.
properties, so like they're doing okay.
Yeah.
But again, move out of town, go to
Yeah.
somewhere small. It's better. I think it's better to be a big fish in a small pond
Absolutely.
than to be a small fish in a big pond.
Well, then eventually that pond grows and you scale up with the pond. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you make a mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of indie guys that there are a lot of indie game developers that tried to get jobs at game studios, got shot down, and then they decided, fuck it, I'm going to make my own thing. And because they were so different, their work stood out in the indie game scene.
Yeah.
And so they blew up as indie devs, and they just went, wow, I'm glad I didn't get that job at the big game studio.
Well, and they ended up making way more money doing that than they ever would have. You know.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Those are
rare, but I guess
to
so.
say like indie games are where the money's at. It's,
Yeah.
it's really not.
Yeah. Well, it can be a sustainable way of making a living, though. You know.
I think if you handle your business right.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with networking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and meeting other developers. I've been trying to reach out more to indie game developers.
Yeah.
Just people who've already released games, learn from them and find out how they marketed. It's always been my shortfall.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with marketing.
Yeah.
So that's why I actually really appreciated working with your team over at Proco.
Yeah.
On that, what did I do?
The concept art
was
thing?
it the Hearthstone?
No. It was released like a workshop thing. Like
Oh, it was a landscape. It was the facility workshop
facility
on
thing.
Proco.
Yeah.
Should I do more?
Yeah, you totally
Do people
should.
want that?
I think so. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely,
know.
man. Yeah, people care about what you have to say, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck you, dude.
Come on. Wow.
Beat you up.
I have nothing to say. No, but yeah, it was fun. And in fact, like I said, now I'm turning a lot more of my attention towards, like, my two jobs right now are Twilight Monk and art education.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I do.
Yeah. And if you ever wanted to do more Proco stuff,
Yeah. So,
totally.
well, I mean, that is art education. And so, like,
absolutely.
getting on more platforms.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was also thinking about what you were saying about just getting into more overseas markets, because I'm really not.
Right.
And I haven't really been active about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, though, the thing that I get fired up about when I wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
programming Twilight Monk.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
It's weird because
yeah.
I look at fucking code more than I look at pixels and art, but like,
Well, but you're still trying. Like, again, it goes back to the communicating of ideas. Like, doing math and all that kind of stuff can communicate the ideas you want to communicate better than drawing pictures directly. You know.
here's what's beautiful about it. To me, next evolution of art, for me, because it's where art and science meet. I have a very analytical mind.
Yeah.
I love to problem solve.
Right.
And when that problem solving leads to an interactive art experience, so like, not only am I just creating a cool painting of a character now I'm animating how they move.
Right.
Now I'm animating their little things that they do that, whatever it is. If they got like a little funny dance that they do, their personalities are coming to life more.
Right.
And I can give that to somebody and they can have their own experience with it completely separate from me being involved with them.
Yeah.
Like, it's me talking to them without me even being present.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's art coming to life in an interactive way that can dazzle the viewer, the player, in a way that, in some ways, I'm hoping to kind of bridge that more of where, art meets games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's all synonymous. I mean, I see lots of people on YouTube documenting their entire game development process as part of the actual advertising of it, with the education of it.
That is part of it,
And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool.
The trick is, I do not want to become a programming teacher.
It does not sound very fun.
I had some really good teachers in the sense that, like, I found YouTubers who taught programming, and man, just it made all the difference. But I saw the way that people would ask questions like, I don't know why my code doesn't work. Here it is. And it's like, sometimes it's like you forget a semicolon.
Right. Yeah. So, or
And
a
the
tab or
whole
something.
thing crashes.
Yeah.
And that's so like, oh shit, I just spent 2 days on that. And now I don't understand because it crashes every time because I left a semicolon. And like a teacher would have to stop what they're doing to like go, well, let's do a scan, look through every line of code. And like to me, I don't want to do that. Teaching art, yeah, sure, that's fun for me. Still fun. Yeah. It's not like, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
When I do a workshop, I just did a landscape workshop.
Yeah.
Huge ordeal. 25 hours of footage.
Yeah.
25 hours, and I'm not talking just time-lapse shit.
Yeah.
I'm talking like I'm explaining
Lectures, yeah.
every brush, every like layer effect, gradient maps, like composition, breaking it all down, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I like the last 2 hours of it, I was just like, I didn't even want to put them out. I waited like 2 months.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to add these later because I'm fried.
Yeah.
It takes so much out of me. So I can only do like maybe 2 or 3 real workshops per year.
Yeah.
But the easy art lesson stuff is just so much. That's just fun. It's like, here's how to draw a pirate.
Right. Yeah. Super easy. Yeah. Super fun.
And actually, that's been pretty good for me. So
yeah. Well, and I think, when I look at concept art, I think that a lot of people they choose concept art specifically because it's like an avenue to just draw more and just be creative,
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be concept art, Like a lot of people just want to sit, like they don't even want to be professional artists. They just want to sit around with their friends and like draw their D&D characters or something,
Yeah, it'd be nice if that's what concept art was.
Yeah,
it's not.
Right. Yeah, and I think concept art for a lot of people, like I don't think most people really want to be concept artists.
The reality of it.
Yeah, it's like drawing the same pocket 50,000 times or something, or it's like people just want to make cool shit, and
be appreciated for
and be appreciated for it,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So like I empathize with that because I felt it. I've been at the bottom of the barrel. Nobody knows me. Can't even get a retweet.
Right.
And I've been viral with my Pokemon
Right.
Twitter picture with 40,000 likes. And honestly, none of that matters. Like this matters, or like the time with my family matters.
Yeah.
Like the time of my experiences of like creating something. Like I said, waking up in the morning, I get way more excited to wake up in the morning and program out a little character that animates, or like I'm testing a battle with this little enemy type right now, and it's like, what's it going to do? Like just tweaking a couple of variables and like, oh, now it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
nice.
My characters, my art is challenging me. My art is kicking my own ass. Like I love that, you know. And like nothing as exciting to me as that. And ultimately, like that was why I kind of had to step away from concept art too. Was like, if you're just perpetuating that like frustrations with if you feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over, let it go. Like with your podcast, if you suddenly started to feel like, I just don't want to talk to people, I don't want to do my podcast anymore, you know what? Start doing recorded videos.
Yeah.
Like use the momentum of the thing that you've been doing, like try to instill that excitement of the thing that you would love into what you're doing. And if you can, hopefully, financially, make a little bit of a slight shift. And
Absolutely.
You might find a new avenue of expression that still like gives you that enthusiasm and that feeling of reward.
Well, and treating it as something that's always shifting too. It's never going to be the final product. It's never going to be finished.
Yeah, it never is.
Yeah.
I never feel like anything is. I released a couple of novels in the last couple of years, and I feel like I want to rewrite them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, again, it's part of the reason why I really admire what Rogan did. Is because it's just him dicking around. Like it's just him being like a crazy person, essentially.
Sometimes, but I feel like he is digging. Like sometimes he's really challenging his guests, and I like that. I like that he's open to just hearing different perspectives.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what's the real value of the Rogan podcast, I think. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's like, we live in a time when if people don't like your opinion, it's like everybody grew up on iPads now, and we just want to like switch the channel or power off our things coming into our brains.
Yeah.
So we try to do that with people now. It's like, sometimes when we grew up, when I was a kid, there was TV channels, there's like 13 channels on.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't like what's on, just go in the other room or do something else.
Right.
So like, there's I think what the value of the Joe Rogan podcast is even if he disagrees with people, he lets them be heard.
Yeah.
He lets them speak. at least, you know, and if they're an expert in their field, even more power to them. If people choose to like what they say, that's great. If they don't, they can just choose to not like that guest, but still enjoy the Rogan podcast.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's what I think is the value, because he doesn't just shut people off and go, you're out of here. I don't like what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with a lot of the things he has to say, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, I like listening to this guy. Like, it's so raw. It's so like honest. True. Yeah.
He's kind of a bro.
Yeah, he's totally bro, man.
I'm not into like MMA fighting. I'm not into like I mean, I lift weights, but like not like he does. Like he's like hardcore. He is a bro.
Yeah, talking about elk hunting and shit.
Yeah, elk hunting and shit. Which actually, that does sound fun.
I would do that.
I would do that. Let's go elk hunting.
I'd be down. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Like a survival trip or something in a jungle. I would do that in a jungle.
Well, I was talking to Modern Day James, Ahmed Dory, Six, like Steven's like a bunch of other YouTubers about doing a Utah trip at some point.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, if you'd be down,
yeah,
it'd be fun to
I'll
have
go.
you.
Yeah, sure. I don't know those guys. I mean, I know Modern Day James. Back when he started out, he messaged me a couple of times. He was like, "Hey, you should come on and do like a podcast on my channel." I'll tell it like now, like if you ask me now, I'd do it. Just, at the time, I was like, I was just so focused on. I was doing 3 videos a week. Trying to build up my own channel. I was like, I could go and promote his channel. You promote my that's not what it was.
I totally get it.
It was just that I think I wasn't.
Huge time commitment.
No, it wasn't time commitment. It was that. Well, yeah, it was partly, but it was also that like didn't know how to. I wasn't comfortable. I think at the time I was still drinking whiskey just to be comfortable on camera.
Right.
You know, now it's like nothing to me.
Yeah.
So like I'm the same person. When the cameras are rolling, I get a little jittery before hit record or whatever. But like, for the most part, same person.
Yeah.
You know, I maybe tone it back. Like I'm not going to talk about dick jokes to my grandmother.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there's certain things I don't want to talk about. But like at the same time, like for the most part, it's like same, just
being yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And at the time, I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
And also, there was. Yeah, at that time there were like a few people out there. YouTube breeds a kind of vitriol, and not just with people who view, but sometimes there are people who like are up and coming artists who just want to get popular by ripping on more popular YouTubers because it gets them more views. Right. And that's another reason why I've enjoyed not being too successful. I don't like being like an average dude, just a guy. It's just kind of cool that he has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's where I like being right there. I could do all the clickbaity shit.
Right.
I could do the jazzy stuff.
The titles,
I could do the flashy, because a lot of YouTubing is lies.
Yeah.
You have to lie to become popular, or bullshit, or make content for 8-year-olds. I don't care about any of those things.
Right.
They don't add value to the world or to my life. Right. So why would I do that? Every video I do, I try to add value to people.
The Americans, can they take advantage now? Down the left side with Sophia Smith, early ball in, that's trouble. Goal!
And is having some success there. Whipped in so quick. The own goal by Moore on that near post. Difficult to deal with as you're running back to your own goal, but it comes from the quick restart. New Zealand not able to shift, reset.
But the attack flowing now. Huerta into the box. Macario! Goal!
Other side in that right back position, finding so much space. Good ball in. Again, New Zealand so unlucky in that situation, trying to clear it. But a good run in by Macario. And there it is.
There goes Purse. Still Purse. And when it rains, it pours. It is pouring right now on Michaela Moore and the football Ferns. Hers and their third own goal.
sunset, the day is ending. Let that yawn out. There's no pretending. I will hold you.